All right, guys, day 2 of legal tampering period happened today. And like I've been saying, man, I'm going to be making videos every day as long as there is actual Jaguars activity. And I did get saved today by Dewey Wingard because not a whole lot happened today, man. I mean, the only thing that happened with Jaguars free agency as I'm filming this at 8:34 p.m. Eastern time is that the Jaguars did re-sign Andrew Wingard to a 3-year deal with $9.6 million. $6 million of that is guaranteed. And Dewey Wingard has had a pretty good story in Jacksonville. He was an undrafted free agent out of Wyoming back in 2019. And he actually made the team with 3 different regimes. And when it comes to a uh, really an undrafted free agent guy, that's pretty hard to do. You know, he initially made a team when Doug Marrone was head coach, and then Urban Meyer, and then now he remained on a team with Doug Peterson, and now he's earned himself a pretty good payday. And he really was a folk story last year. I mean, he's had quite the redemption arc. I mean, at first fans hated him. I mean, he'd always go out there and miss tackles or commit. I honestly, I really don't remember why fans hate him so much. I think it was just easy to look at him and say, look at this guy running over there with his arms flailing, just like missing tackles. But, this year he had some good games, man, forced some turnovers. And he was most famous for this right here. He coined the Jaguars phrase, "It was always the Jags." That was started by him. And then that kind of became the Jaguars like war song. I mean, it was always the Jags. They even made a hashtag for it. They, put it on the towel for the Jaguars versus Titans games, that AFC South championship game. It was cool stuff. Definitely really cool stuff. And I like to see this happening. Now, why is he getting this contract? Because you see it, and it's a pretty big contract. I mean, for a backup for a special teamer, it's a pretty big contract, a 3-year, $9.6 million deal. But at the end of the day, it's his special teams ability that gets this. There really is an emphasis on like keeping a good core special teams, and the Jaguars do place a good emphasis on it. I mean, Jamal Agnew's out there making good money. Dewey Wingard's a key staple of the Jaguar special teams, and not only that, he's a good backup player. He's a good spot starter. The Jaguars started him, at times last year, and he was able to go out there and do some work. And he actually did pretty well last year. He even played in on some 3 safety sets, when he's on the field at the same time as Andre Sisco and Rayshon Jenkins. So, it's all good stuff. Now, when it comes to the Jaguars outside of Dewey Wingard, no other free agent signings for the Jaguars, and no other Jaguars signed elsewhere. I guess some things to look at, and I discussed in length a lot of stuff yesterday. So if you haven't watched my day 1 video, definitely go back on the channel, rewatch that, because I kind of expanded on just a bunch of different stuff. But some stuff that I do want to emphasize is that, look, Arden Key is the biggest free agent still out there. When it comes to the Jaguars, after Jawan Taylor went to the Kansas City Chiefs, Chris Manhertz went to the Denver Broncos. The biggest name out there is Arden Key. And really, with Arden Key, the longer the wait, the probably better it is for us, because I'm sure he's out there like testing the market right now and seeing what he can get. But if no team's giving him a big payday after day 1 or day 2 or day 3, really throughout the week, the market tends to settle. And, some of the bigger names have fallen off the board when it comes to pass rushers and, some of the teams that need it the most. And, now we're in a situation where, maybe there's no big deal for him out there, or he's seeing if anybody's willing to match with the Jaguars, will give him. And if not, he's going to be back with the Jaguars. That's the hope. That's the hope, that he comes back on a deal that's not overly breaking the bank, and we can keep that peace. Because look, the Jaguars, we can't get worse on the pass rush than we were last year. And so far, when it comes to the Jaguars, I mean, we haven't got any better. I mean, you hope after an off season of Trayvon Walker that boosts the pass rush a lot, but at the end of the day, the unit hasn't really become better this season, and it's going to become worse if you lose a guy like Arden Key. And even with DeJuan Smoot, I know he's got the Achilles, but if these guys are gone, then it makes our defensive line worse. So we'll see when it comes to that. Some moves the Jaguars can make. I mean, they're definitely going to be signing a cornerback and a tight end. It's just a matter of who and at what price tag. Some other things, you got to fill out the offensive line, defensive line, get some depth in there. And really when it comes to improving this roster, all eyes are on the NFL draft. That's really where it's going to come. I mean, maybe the Jaguars won't have a lot of money. I saw a figure out there where it's like Jaguars are in like the fourth worst cap situation. So, this free agency, it's about what a lot of us expected. I didn't really expect the Jaguars to be able to re-sign Jawan Taylor. I thought maybe Chris Manhurst would be back just because the Jaguars need tight end, and he wasn't going to be a very expensive guy. They could afford him if they wanted to, but maybe the Jaguars either want to go a different way, or maybe the Broncos just offered him a little bit more than the Jaguars are wanting to give him. So, those are just a couple things, but we'll see what happens with the Jaguars. I'll keep you guys updated. Thank you so much for watching. Go Jags.